we're just going to start out by addressing what feels obvious to me, may not be obvious to anybody else, but I have to talk about it. I am now 17 weeks along in my pregnancy, and I feel huge. Just everything about me feels huge. I know I'm not huge, but it feels huge. Just look at this. It's coming. Here it comes. Watch for it. You'll see it as soon as I turn around. Bam. What the heck? But anyways, on to the good stuff. This here is Duncan. He's my yearling. You probably have seen him before on my channel, on my Instagram, and on my TikTok. He had a really nasty abscess that finally popped and drained, and he's feeling so much better. So now that he is feeling better and he's growing like an absolute weed, it's time to do some big boy things. So he's going to learn how to pony today. He is already familiar with ponying off the little barn utility cart. He's gotten really, really comfortable with that. Of course, before all this, he learned how to handle in hand and work off halter pressure. He also gets to stand tied for a little while after his grooming session. This is really good for learning independence and just standing quiet, a really, really essential thing to learn for emergencies and just being a good horse citizen. So after I get him all settled and I let him sit for just a little bit, I get Mr. Foxy out. Foxy is my 22-year-old paint horse. You, of course, have seen him on my channel and on all of my other channels before. He is literally the best horse to ever grace this earth. I decided to go ahead and treat both of them, actually, for a thrush since we're getting into that season and their feet were looking a little nasty. So I get him all taken care of and then tacked up. I'll take this opportunity to talk about ponying here for a second for those who may not know what it is. We have two horses in this scenario, what we call the pony horse, which in this instance is Foxy. So you have the old man, the reliable, the steady Eddie, the broke, good, solid using horse. And then you have the horse being ponied, which in this instance is going to be Duncan. This is most often a young horse, a green horse, or a horse that needs to work through an issue. That issue being, for example, I use this technique a lot with Diesel. A couple of years ago, he got ran into pretty badly at a horse show, and that really shook him up, and he had a lot of issues with traffic moving forward. So he didn't like horses coming up behind him. He didn't like horses going next to him at any sort of speed. So I used ponying as a way to get him comfortable and relaxed around other horses again so we could start working and getting things done productively. Now in Duncan's case, where he is a young horse, this is really beneficial to young horses for multiple reasons. The first being they don't have to work in tight circles when it comes to getting mental or physical exercise. Now when I say that, I'm referencing lunging. So we don't want to over lunge young horses. Their joints are growing, everything about them is growing, and over lunging can be an issue in general. But with ponying, you can do straight lines, you can do arena work, you can go out on the trails, and it's really good to expand the horse's mind and get them mentally exposed to so many things without having to excessively lunge them nonstop just to get them to settle down. And of course, we should also note that horses work best in herds. They are herd animals, so they're going to learn best from other horses, so other horses can correct them, but also be their leader horse, which is a really good opportunity. And of course, we gotta throw in the little baby clack right there. Look how stinking cute they are. I can't get over the fact that they're literally the same size. They're both like 15.2, 15.3. I'm obsessed. Anyways, we're going to take everything super slow. So this is Duncan's first time ever being exposed or like really involved in a horse being ridden. So as you can see, he's trying to absorb, trying to understand. He's just a little sponge when it comes to this stuff. So I want him to only have good experiences and really just take the chance to slowly absorb and understand on his time. I start off at just a walk, and he just has to get used to walking next to Foxy. So I have a couple of ground rules when it comes to ponying. A couple of things that the horse being ponied is absolutely 110% not allowed to do. And those ground rules get set pretty quickly because they can be a safety issue, and it can grow and escalate if they don't get that clear understanding right away. So those ground rules are absolutely no biting under any circumstances. I don't want your mouth on me, in my bubble, threatening, open, coming towards my horse, anything like that. There is no circumstance where that is okay. So we correct biting right away, which you'll see me do in just a second. The other thing is I need the horse to walk next to my pony horse, not in front of and not behind. So that can be a safety issue because if the horse obviously gets tangled up, go ahead and call your friends at PETA because you're about to see me correct him for a bite. He goes in to bite Foxy right there, and I do not make contact with his face and the rope at all. What you want to do is make a huge motion that really draws attention to that is not allowed, and he moves his feet and gets off of the pony horse, and then we get right back to what we were doing. But in addition to the horse getting either in front or behind, you have to remember that in this example, Duncan is a yearling. He's going to want to play. His experience with our horses so far is just playing in a pasture. So you'll see it when we trot off in a second, him really start to try and play. But when he gets behind another horse, that is prime opportunity for him to rear up and strike out with his legs or bite the other horse. I want him in my vision all the time and giving to the halter pressure and walking next to us as a team and not following behind, which this was a really difficult concept for Duncan to get because he is such a follower. Like, he literally just follows Diesel everywhere in the pasture, cannot think for himself, cannot eat for himself, nothing like that. So he was really unsure about this, but once he got it, he got it. We also stop a lot and just relax and praise and rub all over and just make everything, again, a good experience. So especially if he's standing there quietly and not biting, not playing, and you can see his little leg cocked, he's just relaxed and enjoying the presence of myself and Foxy and my feral dog, and we're all just hanging out. I want to make sure that is what stays with him. So this is a good, fun experience, and we can relax, and it's no big deal. And then we get into a little bit of trotting, and this is where you're going to see his mind just absolutely explode. So he is not by any means doing anything bad here, and I don't want to punish him. He is a yearling, and his only experience with horses so far is to play with them. That is all he wants to do. That is all he knows how to do. So at no point do I want to punish him for doing what he knows how to do, because that is just going to shut him down and not encourage him to try anything new. So all I want to do is stay consistent in what I'm asking him to do, which is stay right next to me, not run in front and not run behind, and not bite. Up on this ground pole that is on this coming side of the arena, you're going to notice that that's his trouble spot. So right there, he likes to try and run behind Foxy. That's probably because he's getting insecure about something and he wants to resort to following. So instead of just yanking on his halter and pulling him along, which all this head tossing he's doing is just him trying to play, I promise I'm not yanking on him. But instead of pulling on him, because that's going to be a losing battle, he weighs way more than I do. And I'm just going to literally scoop him up with Foxy. Look at him stretch right there. Oh my god, I love Foxy so much. Anyways, all I'm going to do is just like 90-degree turn Foxy and turn him into Duncan, and that's going to get Duncan's feet moving again and get him collected back up with us. You're going to see me do it right here. Oh, maybe not. Yep, I'm going to do it right there. And I'm just going to scoop him up and not let him get behind, and that way he's back next to us and moving consistently again. The next thing you're going to see is an important note that I forgot to mention earlier, and that is why you want a long rope to do this with, not a regular lunge line. You can see my shoulder almost come out right there. I'm using here just a cotton lunge line. I don't know exactly the foot, but you can see that it's long. You don't want to use a regular lunge line because what's going to happen is that horse is going to slam on brakes or change direction or do something silly like a baby horse would do, and that lead rope's going to come out of your hand because you don't want to hang on to it. I also recommend using gloves, which I'm not doing here because that rope burn hurts, but I can't keep track of my gloves to save my life. Anyway, you're going to want that long line because what's going to happen is you're going to drop that rope and then you're going to have a loose horse, and that's just not fun, especially if it's a young green horse and you're at a show and everything's stressful. You don't want that to happen. Look how stinking cute. Here he's starting to get it. But if you have that long rope, you can give him that space to blow off your pony horse or slam on brakes or do whatever the silly baby horse is going to do, but then you still have that rope to gather him back up and continue on as you were doing. And he's still trying to play, but he's starting to get it. He's really starting to get it. Now we're making things a little more difficult with him being in between the pony horse and the fence. starting to see his little baby brain explosions getting smaller and smaller, and he's getting more and more relaxed and consistent. And all I've done this whole time is just myself remain consistent, remain a steady point of contact for him. All I want him to do is stay right next to me. I don't make a big deal out of anything except biting. I will put the absolute fear of God into a horse that puts his teeth on me. Anyway, and then we step up the difficulty level by asking Foxy to canter, and this is upping the difficulty level because, again, the faster my pony horse goes, the more the baby horse is going to want to play. Again, I do not care if the horse being ponied is trotting, cantering, whatever his little legs want to do, as long as he's following those ground rules we talked about earlier. So, not in front, not behind, and no biting. So here, I was really, really pleased with how he responded to Foxy cantering. He didn't try and play, he didn't try and bite, he didn't get upset. At one point, he tried and cantered, and he doesn't know what leads are yet, so leave him alone. But his legs are a lot longer than Foxy's, so he could not really keep up with Foxy. Or he was a little bit faster than Foxy, rather. So he didn't last very long cantering, but it's okay. He tried. As he gets more comfortable, I'm sure we will graduate to cooling out on the trails or in the hills, or, just really expanding his little baby brain and seeing all of the things while he's still young. But for now, we're just cooling out in the arena, ending on a good note, letting them both relax and just chill. And Duncan took that a little bit too seriously and literally fell asleep in my lap. He walked up and booped my belly with his nose and then just stayed there and demanded snuggles. And who am I to deny him snuggles? I mean, look at that face. Are you joking? And then when we get back to the barn, Foxy gets taken care of first because he is the ultimate king and I love him and he deserves the entire world. And Duncan sat on the wall tie for a little bit to cool down and again reinstate that independence and just letting himself relax and finding his own sleepy time. And then I gave him a quick sponge bath because he was literally disgusting. And then he goes back outside with his big cousin brother. They're technically cousins, but they think they're brothers. And they get some very good quality clacking time in. And he goes back to just being a good little frickin' baby. And his workload's small and his life is good and I love him. You're weird. Hi, buddy.